Okay, so what I'm doing today before the next phone call comes through and my video is cut short, uh, bear with me here. We are doing bypasses, all the bypasses for a 2205, and the reasons why we do the bypass. Okay, there's too much confusion going with some techs, and this has to be cut and dry because there really should be no excuse for not following the directions. There's only so many ways you can skin this cat, and anything else is just wrong. So if it's a little strong today, sorry, bear with me. So first bypass, we'll be assuming that our little welded activation tab is broken off. Now we can pay $1,000 to a welder, have them come in, take the door off, weld the new tab on. It takes all of 5 minutes to do, and then install the hinge bolts. Takes maybe an additional 25-30 minutes, depending if it's rusted or whatever. So we've got that issue. We want a customer with a working machine right away, no excuses. So best way to accomplish that, shut our door. We're not going to bother with that anymore. We're going to do a bypass. Basically, you've got 3 safeties in total, pneumatic. You've got the pneumatic one attached to the mechanism, pneumatic one here on the first hinge of the bottom door, pneumatic valve here, bottom hinge. Okay, so this isn't being engaged, won't be engaged until it's welded. So the trick for that, make sure our air is off. We disconnect this thing. We're just gonna leave that alone. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna reroute our hosing to what is working. So we've got this little guy, and this one basically not connected to anything anymore. We'll pull, actually that hose is nice and long, so we'll go ahead and pull the shorty out. And we're gonna take this end of this hose, and we're gonna stick it in that valve right there. Okay, it's a little long, we can cut to fit at sight. This is just for the purpose of the video because I've got several others that I'm going to do afterwards. So I'm not cutting this hose. So once again, for those that aren't listening, I am not cutting this hose yet. Okay, you might have to, but I am not for the sake of the video. I have this that I have to send out to people, so I'm not going to hamstring myself for the sake of the video. All right, so we got that there. Now we should be able to turn this thing on, and the unit will activate. All we've done is deleted that one. So now we have a working machine in that scenario. Scenario 2. We release it, turn the air off. We're going to say that we've done our air, okay, different issue, different problem, we're coming to a different machine, right? We're going to say that this valve is stuck in. You know, we've disconnected the hose, we've bumped the air on, hit the switch, and we didn't hear that. We're going to pretend we didn't hear that noise. Okay, so no airflow. So the next thing we can do is remove our hose. All right, make sure this is lined up. So you have your hose going from your on off, right? We're going to say this one's no good. We disconnect that one, and we route it straight to the port that comes directly out underneath the on-off switch, this orange and gray box, okay? So we'll say this one's no good. We've deleted it out of the system. Let's see if it works. And it does. So that one's good. All right? Safety still works. Nobody's gonna lose fingers or digits or anything important. So that's a safe one. That's a good one. So the way you can check all of this real quick to see if these are your issues, just disconnect the hose that's going to this elbow, let it hang loose, and then just bump it on. You got airflow, it means everything below is working. It means your issue is now inside the machine. So if that's the case, this plate won't come down. So the next bypass we would want to do, and I'm going to leave the hoses off That way nobody gets confused, because it's taking time away from my other customers to spend 45 minutes to an hour on the phone regurgitating the same information over and over again. So, sick, I'm a little cranky, forgive me. So now, problems in here, we still need to bypass to get the plate down. Otherwise, you're releasing 3 springs, and that takes more time than what I'm about to show you. So, take our long piece of hose here, we connect it to the on and off switch, right, to our source of air, our known good air supply. At that point, I'm gonna need a little bit of a ladder because I'm too short to box with God. We go up to the top, we undo. Okay. You're gonna need to get a little closer. Alright, let's see if I can crank this thing up even further where you can see. Might not. Okay, so go to the top here. You see there's a little compression nut, and I'll pull this down so you can see here in a little bit. You will need a pocket knife when you're up here. This plastic hose will get flared out by this compression nut, and sometimes it'll be difficult to slide off. But you have to, say it with me, have to have this, okay? So connect it to our on-off switch, right? This is our extra piece of hose. Connect it to the on-off switch, okay? All right, let me show you again. And yes, there's somebody that this is directed at. Here, there, right? Gotta have this. Sometimes you might, on that existing hose up top, you might have to trim off, you know, roughly about that much, just the flared end, okay? All right, and this goes up to the top. We have to push it on the little nipple because it, like I said before, it is a flared fitting. It will flare. It is tapered. So you have to do this. Otherwise, the hose will just spit right back out in your face. So we push that on there, keep tension on it, and then we turn that little nut, that compression nut. Just like, you know, on an air compressor fitting, airline fitting, you know, the existing hoses that go to like the pressure switches and such on an air compressor, it is a compression fitting. So it's just it doesn't use one of those little brass washers. All right, we tighten this guy on like so. Feel free to comment on this video. I'm looking forward to it. All right, so we've got our bypass, right? All valves are jumped out of series. There is only air going to the cylinder and from this on-off switch and this hose. There is no air on anything on the inside, so there is no worries there. Also, the drawback is you can't check for airflow until you restore at least the hosing from the on-off to the activation. Okay. So we'll hit that in another second here. Okay. So turn it on. My plate comes down. Now I'm doing this with the door open. If you need to get the door open, this little pin, see, everybody tells me there's not a pin there, there's not a pin there. I tell them it's a little piece of sheet metal with a pin welded on it. And I get all kinds of difficulties with that because I guess it's not a standard pin that you see anywhere else other than our stuff or in Europe. But that little guy kind of looks like the top of an old man's walking cane without the cane portion, right? You got the little handle here that you can hold, a little brace that would sit on the arm, handle that would be in the hand, and then the cane extension. So it's a little swiveling pin. All right, I'll put that back there where it belongs. But now, the whole point of this bypass is now we can get in underneath the plate. The air's holding it down. and we can access everything underneath here. So that's a good thing, and it enables us to work, and it's a helpful little trick. Plus, you don't have to drop springs, so that whole, oh boss, I need another 2.5 hours extension on this job. Yeah, I bet you know the answer to that question already. It's gonna be a big fat no. So this goes up, right? We could put a block in there, hold it down, restore all our air hoses, but this is basically what you want to do. This is the acceptable factory method, and this is the way it should be done. So any questions, hate, grief, discontent, please leave it in the comment section, because I'm honestly looking forward to it. Take care.